Donald Trump's legal team says the storage of sensitive documents at the Florida estate should not have alarmed the Justice Department, and it's calling the August FBI raid unprecedented, unnecessary and legally unsupported. The filing comes just before a federal judge announces her decision on whether to allow for a third-party attorney called a special master that would review documents seized in the Mar-A-Lago raid. Now, on Tuesday, in a separate filing, the Department of Justice argued the appointment of a special master is unnecessary and added it'll significantly harm important governmental interests, including national security interests. The DOJ said the records are considered property of the government, and Donald Trump lacks the standing to intervene in the investigation. Trump, though, has argued that his constitutional rights were violated, and that some of the documents seized earlier this month contain material covered by privilege. In its Wednesday filing, the Trump team did not respond to the DOJ's claims that the former president concealed and moved highly classified documents to obstruct the federal investigation. However, the former president claimed he had declassified all of the documents in the FBI released picture in a post on his social media platform Truth Social. He even accused the FBI of haphazardly throwing the documents all over the floor. Well, for more on this, we can turn to our reporter Susan Tarani, who's joining us live from New York City. Susan, 1 p.m. is the time of the hearing. It's just over 3 hours from now. How are things likely to play out during that hearing?
Well, Nick, the federal judge Eileen Cannon has signaled that she will most likely appoint a special master because of the high-profile nature of this case, and that she will likely not have any issue with that. As you mentioned, we did hear from the Trump team later in the day yesterday, a 19-page response to the Justice Department saying that a special master is not necessary. Mr. Trump's lawyers accused the Justice Department, as you mentioned, of just scattering those so-called classified information on that carpet and sort of staging it. He said that he had already declassified it, and a lot of questions arose on whether or not, if they were classified, why were they on that carpet in the first place? What else did the Justice Department take? And if it did take anything that's not related to this investigation, then it should return, and that's why a special master is needed. Quote, left unchecked, the DOJ will impugn, leak, and publicize selected aspects of their investigation. This is what Mr. Trump's lawyers wrote, arguing why a special master is necessary. But as you mentioned, we'll soon find out. During that hearing, lawyers from Mr. Trump and the Justice Department will be present this afternoon in Florida.
And Susan, of course, lurking in the background of all of this, the investigation, the ongoing court hearings, the filings, is the potential that criminal charges could be filed against Donald Trump. However, there have been some suggestions in the last 24 hours or so that if there were to be any criminal charges against the former president, they could potentially wait until after the midterm elections. How do you see things going from here in terms of the criminal probe from the Department of Justice?
Yeah, that is true. We did hear reports regarding that, considering the fact that he might become a candidate for presidency, and there has to be 60 days before those charges are pressed, and that would be around September 10th, and not only for 2024, but because he's endorsing so many candidates for the midterm elections, and the midterms are coming up, and it would kind of be meddling in elections. Of course, supporters of Donald Trump came out and said because this is playing out in public, the Justice Department is already meddling. But That's one aspect of it. Another aspect is Merrick Garland has really a tough task ahead of him. He has to see how this compares to alleged mishandling of classified information by other high-ranking officials. Whether or not the Justice Department would even have a case, would they win, considering the political implications if they don't win? And then, thirdly, whether or not the documents that Donald Trump had really had national security implications or not. These are things that need to be really considered to see whether a criminal investigation or indictment could be brought against a former president, which is huge. But I think the question right now is not so much the documents that Donald Trump had, and his lawyers are also in trouble for sort of justifying it, but the fact that perhaps they had them and weren't completely honest with the Justice Department. That's also another charge that perhaps regarding obstruction may come against the former president.
Susan, thank you very much. Just stay where you are. We'll come back to you in a few minutes' time when we talk about our next story.